Now, back to Young Republicans Radio.
Welcome back to Young Republicans Radio. I'm Matt Ricker.
And I'm Bill Maloney. We are previewing my new show that will begin next month. Next month in January when the new semester begins. And today is our last show, Maloney and Ricker. And unfortunately, this is going to be my last show probably with Matt ever. But Matt always knows that the door is going to be open in future broadcasts and future shows, whatever I'm doing. And I know that me and Matt are going to continue to have a great, not just a great working relationship together, but a great personal relationship together. And we will be going to politics together probably one day or whatever. And me and Matt, we always joke that when I become president, if I do, Matt's going to be the White House press secretary. So Matt's going to be Jay Carney, only 100 times better. So, anyways.
I appreciate that.
Anyways, we're going to go talk about Chuck Hagel right now and his replacement for defense secretary.
All right, so Chuck Hagel, as you've probably heard, resigned amid pressure from the Obama administration on November 24th. He became Secretary of Defense back in 2013 after Leon Panetta's retirement. He was the first former enlisted soldier to hold this office, former Vietnam veteran and Purple Heart recipient, and was also the former Republican senator of Nebraska, served as deputy VA administrator, and is a known critic of the Iraq War under President Bush. And Obama and Hagel apparently could not agree on some issues.
Now, Matt, I want to talk about that. Barack Obama and Secretary Hagel not being able to agree on issues. Now, the interesting thing is, Hagel was the only Republican in Obama's cabinet, and he was the Republican senator from Nebraska. But meanwhile, he was in the Senate as a Republican. He had a very hard time being confirmed, and that was when the Senate was
in gridlock.
Was in gridlock, and also when the Senate was full of Democrats.
Yeah.
Before we took over in this past election, thank God, and that's awesome, and it gives us hope for a Republican president in 2016. But nonetheless, what's interesting is that he couldn't get along with the Republicans in Congress, in the House either. And that's just very hard when you're Republican, the only Republican in the cabinet, and you have such a liberal president that just micromanages everything. And that's one of the key problems that previous defense secretaries had. Remember, Obama's looking for his fourth defense secretary in only 6 years.
Yeah.
And as John McCain said before, he said, to paraphrase McCain, it's that Chuck had a hard time with all the micromanaging going on. And the Obama administration has become notorious for not letting departments do their own work. And that's how they've been on immigration, on other issues. Healthcare. And in foreign policy with the defense and state departments.
I'd also like to add, that was, whatever position you get on a president's cabinet, is a very big offer and a nice gesture from the president. And I probably take the position too if I had the opportunity. But if I was the only Republican in the cabinet, that would probably be a little uncomfortable at times because you have different point of views and you don't agree on certain things.
Now there are 5 reasons I was reading online for why Hagel would resign. It's that he didn't understand the Middle East. He had difficulty over there getting the Taliban in Afghanistan to go agree to a peace deal, and his efforts to stop a military co-op in Egypt failed. Another thing is, Hagel never built a good relationship with the Obama administration, and we can see why. But another part of the problem was that he never got along with the members of Congress that were Republican, and he was critical of the administration that he was in, and that's just very hard to do. It's very hard to go to work every day when you're on TV and you're criticizing your boss. or when your boss is criticizing you, or you have your fellow coworkers. Just imagine that. Just imagine coming to work or going to school, and your teacher saying, "Oh, Bill, you suck," or "Matt, you suck," or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you going around the class saying, "Oh, Dr. So-and-so sucks." That's unhealthy, and we can just imagine the tension that was going on there.
Yeah, it's just it's not a good environment to be in. And also, I don't quote me on this. I didn't do research on this, but I think Secretary Hagel, and as with other Republicans in this current government, did not support the pullout from Iraq because it was too soon. It was too premature. And as you see now, we're sending new troops back there because of the security situation with ISIS and other terrorist organizations.
Now, another reason that Hagel would resign is that Obama, he needed a scapegoat for all of his failures in foreign policy. And Obama, he actually might have one of the most extraordinary achievements in foreign policy, even though we think of him as very weak. And it's that under his presidency, under him, actually, we got rid of Osama bin Laden.
Yes.
Which, for someone that's so weak on foreign issues, I don't know how he did that with him. But all that work was from the previous administration, Bush, for the most part. But I will give Barack Obama props and credit. That was some of his work. And Hillary Clinton, too. I will reach across the aisle and I will say congratulations and thank you for helping us get rid of Osama bin Laden. But other than that, Obama has never stood up to Putin in Russia. He hasn't stood up to other countries throughout the world. And so he needed a scapegoat. And continuously, he keeps on micromanaging the defense system, the State Department. And when you do that, you just don't give your cabinet enough room to breathe. And people need to be able to breathe to get their job done. Just think of doing homework or whatever in like a very stuffy room that's like 85 degrees. You can't work.
Yeah, you
can work, but really, it's very hard to do that. You know, you're there thinking about breathing. So these people, they aren't thinking about doing the work at the task at hand. They're thinking about what Barack Obama's going to do. They're thinking of the iron fist of Barack Obama and Barack Obama holding them down. So it's just unhealthy in that environment. And what's interesting is that Hagel was actually the first former enlisted soldier to hold this office. And this has traditionally been an office where people have military experience. But we found out today that finally the nominee is probably going to be Ash Carter, who is an academic, and he has worked in the Pentagon, and he has a lot of background in military work, but he has never actually served in the military. He's more of an academic. He's more of a professorial type. And a lot of people, they may point out to that and say, we don't like that. But the guy knows what he's doing, and a lot of people think that the work that he's done up to now has prepared him so much. Matt, anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, I'll just give you some background information about Ashton Carter. Carter was Deputy Secretary of Defense between 2011 and 2013, serving as Pentagon's Chief Operating Officer under both Hagel and his predecessor Leon Panetta. Before that, he served in a variety of roles within the Pentagon under President Obama and under former President Clinton, along with lengthy stints in academia and the private sector. This is according to CBS News. The other... Now,
I would like to say that this process is probably going to be a very easy process for him, because I think that he has respect from both sides of the aisle. But there's still going to be people that say he doesn't have any military background. But anyways, I want to read a quote from Michael Hanlon, a defense industry analyst at the Brookings Institution. And he says his career has sort of prepared him perfectly for this kind of moment. Continuing, he says, on paper and in terms of resume and preparation, you probably couldn't do much better. And finally, when people talk about the fact that he doesn't have military experience, He says, you can always find things that you would have loved in a 100-year lifespan to have seen everyone do before they take this job. But realistically, he has accomplished about as much as you could ask. And I think that this can be an easy process. I don't think that Obama really made too political of a choice here. And I really don't think that whoever the next defense secretary is really going to have that much of an impact on foreign policy coming ahead.
And also with it will probably be like ultimately a power struggle the next 2 years, since next month the Republican Senate takes control, and we'll have to confirm whoever Obama appoints, if they choose to confirm.
Yes, but again, you really can't get that much done when you only have less than 2 years on the job. They'll probably confirm him after New Year's, and he's going to have a hard time dealing with the Republican Congress, both houses, and anything in Washington is hard to do nowadays. That's how our government was built, and you can have slow but steady change, and that's how it's going to be. And if you want to do something revolutionary, it's going to be hard to do that in 2 years. But House Speaker John Boehner talked about how Congress and D.C., they must use this transition as an opportunity to re-examine Obama's strategy in terms of fighting ISIL in Syria and Iraq. And he said, quote unquote, "This personnel change must be part of a larger rethinking of our strategy to confront the threats we face abroad, especially the threat posed by the rise of ISIL. We cannot defeat this enemy without a broad, coordinated, well-thought-out effort that has the strong support of the American people. Thus far, this administration has fallen well short." I think those last two sentences speak very well from Speaker Boehner. And while me and Speaker Boehner probably don't agree on a number of issues, I think that Speaker Boehner is a little too far to the middle and likes to play politics instead of speaking his mind and really representing the American people. I think that he is a good speaker, and he hit it on the nail in those last two sentences, saying a well-thought-out effort that has the strong support of the American people. Thus far, this administration has fallen well short. That's exactly right. Obama never really represented the American people. He ran on the themes of hope and change and prosperity and moving forward. But we never did that as a nation. If anything, we lost that hope. If anything, the transparency that he wanted to see, or that he promised us, we don't have that. We have a president that micromanages everything like a monarch, like a authoritarian, like he's Vladimir Putin. And that bothers a lot of people. And I think that's why in 2016 we're going to have an American president that's Republican. And I think that's all we have to say, Matt. But when we come back, we will talk about the issue we were talking about in the last sentence. An American president who's going to be president of the United States in 2016. But with that, we'll go to a commercial break.
We'll be right back.
Today I say, as long as this gate is